going on, Doug?
Good to be here.
Awesome, dude. Thank you for being here. It's been a while. I've been trying to get you over here, and
yeah, it's been tough.
I know you're a busy guy, busy man. So, let's talk about the Wind Zero first.
Sure.
That is the most ingenious device that I've seen in a long time. And
well, thank you.
Most people don't realize, number one, that it exists, and number two, what it can do for them.
Right.
I know what it can do for me, and I've been using it.
Right.
So why don't you just tell us what it does and how it works and all the good stuff?
Okay. Yeah, it is a ultrasonic wind sensor. That's this top piece right here. And then there's a radio underneath, which transmits the data downrange. So you can put this thing up to, I've had people up to 3 kilometers downrange, but typically a mile with good line of sight. So you can put up to 8 of them downrange at one time. You can see 3 on the app, but you can have up to 8 downrange. And then you can bring the data back to a little receiver and display it on an iPad or an iPhone and watch trends of wind direction, speed, what we call crosswind value, which is the combination of the wind and the angle. That's the one you really want to watch, right? Because that's the one that moves your bullet left or right. So.
Right. So you can have up to 8 of them, gather all the data, but at any given time, you can see three of them
on the app. That's correct.
Can you select more? Like you see, I know you can see 3, but can you have them all on the app for now, or is that?
Yeah, on the app you can go select which 3 you want to see. So it'll display up to 8 on a list, and then you can say show these 3.
Okay, so at any point you can select
any 3 that you want to watch. Correct.
Perfect. So for example, you want to see the up close wind. See what it's doing, and then you switch to the, maybe the far wind, things of that nature.
Or you run two receivers and 2 tablets, and you can see all of them at once, or see 6 at once.
Right.
I've done that as well.
Yeah. So how? I'm not very technical. You know this. So the refresh rate. How often is it reading?
It reads once a second.
Okay.
So all of them send the data once a second, and then the refresh on the screen is every 2 seconds. So really the latency is about, 2 to 2.5 seconds, worst case. And what you'll find is the wind changes much faster than you ever thought it would. Just watching flags or, using a kestrel. But it changes much quicker than you ever would have thought. These things are really sensitive, so, any change in direction or speed is almost instantaneous. There's no latency with a flag dropping or the little impellers spinning up or spinning down. It's instantaneous, so you can really see how quickly the wind will change direction and speed.
Now, you also made a kind of like on your app, you show, by the way, if you want to see more of this, it's thewindzero.com. This is the website.
Right.
Thewindzero.com. You can go over there, check it out. There's a lot more information there, but this is for my own personal use. Because on your app, you have all kinds of settings.
Right. There's the main screen, which shows, basically a wind rose for each meter, the wind speed, direction, and corrected wind speed. And then there'll be a trend for wind speed, direction, and crosswind value. And then on another page, we've got, it's called a wind values page. It'll have little diamonds that move back and forth that are just moving with your wind hold value, what that crosswind value is for each meter. So, if one's full value, 5 miles an hour, it's going to be 5 miles an hour right. If one's at 45, it's going to be more like 0.7, somewhere in there. And they'll move back and forth for each meter. And then there's a one on the bottom that shows the average of all 3. And it also has a bracket, so the high and low values over the last 30 seconds, say. You can set the span of how big you want that to be. So you can get a wind bracket as well as the average of all 3 and the wind hold, or, the hold value for that crosswind value. So if you have 3 meters up and you're using that, it's pretty accurate.
Now, you can also set your settings in the app to match the ballistics
right.
of your rifle.
You enter a wind drift per mile an hour for whatever range you're shooting at. So if you had a 7mm Sheehan or something, and the wind drift was, say it's about 0.55 MOA per mile an hour at 1,000 yards. So you'd enter that. You'd use your ballistic calculator to figure that out. You go in and figure out what's the wind. You enter 1 mile an hour crosswind at 90 degrees at 1,000 yards. You pick that number, you put it in, and it'll use that number to calculate the wind drift for each meter and the average of all of those.
So if I was going to go shoot and practice, how would you suggest that anyone practices with this device? What's the best way to learn how to read the wind using your device?
Well, typically a new shooter, best use is to put it next to a flag and watch the real wind speed and direction versus what the flag's doing. So that's the way you can really know, okay, that's a 5 mile an hour wind and it's 45 degrees, right? You can see what the flag's doing and correlate that to what the wind drift is going to be. Or if it's 15, 20, you just leave it up there and watch the flag. You don't even need to shoot, right? And then you can use it for mirage as well. Typically, I don't know, the mirage, if you want to watch it at, say, 800 yards for a 1,000-yard match, you could put one down there at 800 yards, watch what the wind speed and angle are doing down there versus what it looks like in the scope or your spotting scope.
Yeah,
so that's really the best use for the tools.
Yeah, because we can't use it in competition, at least not for us, but I'm sure there's some matches that can probably use it.
Bench rest guys can actually use it in competition, and there's been a few lately that are using it for short range. Well, it's not short range, but 200 yards, 100 yards, air rifle, and 22. And they can use it during a match.
Oh.
So they'll put 3 of them up, where they're wind flat, or they usually have those little wind indicators downrange. Mm-hmm. And they can put 3 of them up and actually watch it during the match and watch that average value and how quickly it changes. And I think last weekend, one of the air rifle guys won his match with using those with my wind zeros. Needless to say, they were asking the judge, "And is this legal?" But it is.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be my next thing. I was like, how long before two things are going to happen? Obviously, they're going to protest it. Right. Number one, now that it's legal. So now you're probably going to see a lot more competitors using it because it is an advantage. I mean, it's instantaneous. So especially in short range like 22 or air rifle, any little, change in direction or speed really moves the bullet a lot. And you can get 3 of them in a fairly short range. Like 1,000 yards, these things are pretty far apart. Well, not only that, right? In short range, you don't have that bullet arcing as high. So you can literally put the indicators right at the path of the bullet.
That's right.
And really get the true reading of what the bullet's going to go through.
That's correct.
Because that's a challenge for long range, right? The type of stuff that we do. You have the flags and the whatever device that you may want to have, even reading mirage, but the bullet's way above all of that.
It's above it, and there's different zones on the range, right? There's tree lines, there's gullies, there's all kinds of stuff on the line down the range. So now a couple other groups are using it. It's the military and civilian sniper teams are using it for training. So they'll put a bunch of them out there, and they'll ask the guy, okay, what's the wind value?
Yeah.
And they'll estimate it, and they'll say, well, you're off this much, but they're watching trees and bushes and grass and other stuff like that. So, but there's been quite a few sniper teams that are using it for training. So.
Well, that's interesting. Obviously. Yeah, well, it's a great teaching aid. For example, like you said, you put it next to the flag. You can look at the flag, look at the iPad, look at the flag, look at the iPad, and see what it's doing. But then at some point, you can just look at the flag and make the wind call.
You're
and look at the iPad and see if you're
Right.
if you're there.
Or you shoot and say, okay, I was off. Then you look at it and say, okay, that's why, or why not.
Yeah. What about golf? You think there's any use in that?
There's I've had a couple guys call me up and they want to put it. One guy wants to put it on top of the pin, and there's golf's going to be big. There's obviously this came from boating, from sailboats. So it's big in boating, agriculture. There's a lot of areas that it's going to be big, but golf obviously is one. The challenge there is the guys hit them really high, right? And the trajectory of the shots is, above the tree lines, down to the tree lines. Where do you read them, right? Where do you put the wind meters? But I mean, you could put one on each hole on the tee box or whatever, and at least you get an idea of over the range, where that what the wind looks like. So it's going to be big.
It's pretty interesting. I mean, I have one. As a matter of fact, that's mine.
Yeah, this is an older one. We need to get you a new one.
But I mean, I take it out to the range, and this is one of those things that I don't show on YouTube very much.
Right.
We kind of did show them back at the V2 finale.
Right.
Last year we had them there, and it's incredible the amount of data that you get out of it.
Oh, that's right.
But I'm going to start using it with my air rifle. I think that's where it's going to be.
It's going to be, I think,
big.
with the short range and the BC on those things is not very good.
It's very next to nothing. It's it rivals a brick. So, anyway, I've been using your Wind Zero now for a while. How long ago did you develop it?
Oh, it was in development for quite a few years, and originally it was just going to be a tool to play with at the range for our competitive advantage.
Of course.
And I had it for a couple years, and Tim and I used it quite a bit. But then COVID hit, and it was like, okay, now what do I do? And people were saying, well, why don't you sell that thing? So it looked like a good opportunity to get it into production ready. It took quite a bit to get it something that I could sell and depend on.
Yeah.
So I think, what was it, a year and a half ago we released it.
Yeah.
And really the first big one was at that PRS Expo a year ago. Mm-hmm. You did the video. That was really the kind of the launch to it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I it's amazing how much we do for competitive advantages, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And I remember I did an interview with I think it was Brian Litz, and he says, well, if you win with information or technology that nobody else has, did you really win?
Right.
So I'm going to ask you the same question. If you develop the Wind Zero, you've been using it to train. Obviously, nobody else has one.
Right.
You developed it.
Yeah.
And then you go and do a bunch of winning with it. Did you really win?
That's part of the game, right? You do it too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I do.
Yeah,
obviously.
Tuning the rifle. I mean, it's anything you do, any kind of tweak you make, it's to get an advantage, right? So,
and I think that's what drives the sport forward, right?
Yeah.
It's
people want to win.
What's the innovation? Any innovation. I mean, I've a simple, and I know you do your own barrel work too,
Right.
And it's all this trying to gain a freaking advantage. At least if it's not an advantage, at least not to be at a disadvantage.
Right.
Right. Because everybody else is doing the same thing at the top level. They're all looking for the latest, the greatest, and it may not be a product. It may simply be
a method,
technique,
right? A technique, right?
Chambering a barrel a certain way,
Right.
Tuners.
Reloading's huge, right?
Tuners,
How many tweaks?
Reloading, bullets, pointing, trimming, sorting.
How many rabbit holes have people gone down? Millions.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I started shooting F-class about 15 years ago now, and back then we didn't anneal brass.
Right.
We didn't point bullets. We didn't have the hybrids. We had the VODs. We didn't do a lot of the stuff that we do now,
Right.
And you would think that as time goes on, things would get more complicated, but they're actually getting simpler because there was a lot more things that I did to my brass when I started because I didn't know what worked and what didn't. So I just did everything.
Right.
You know, I quote Don Nagel all the time.
Right. Everything. Right.
I quote Don Nagel all the time because he somebody asked him one time, what do you do to your breast spread? And he said it was 20 steps.
Right.
And they said, man, that's a lot. He goes, well, technically, I only need 10, and I know that.
But which 10?
I just don't know which 10, right?
Right.
And that's where we're at. Again, I was there.
I started trying to eliminate steps, you know, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And
it's a trial and error process. And so
anyway, so yeah, I brought it out, and it's really to help people out at this point because, you know, we run the F-class matches at Bayou, and, you know, I'll put them up and everybody can look at them. And I'll put them downrange during a match so people can look after the match and see what it was doing and what it was doing before.
Well, that's big, right? Especially for the new shooters, right? Because
new shooters are, because they don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
So
on my forum, I'm helping some new shooters. They decided they want to shoot competition. I said, okay, I'll coach you one-on-one every month after every match. Right. We'll have a conversation. You tell me what you saw. You tell me where kind of the shots that you missed, and I'll help you. You know, I'll explain it, and then I'll give you something to practice on for next month. Like on the 5th month, he told me that he had seen the Mirage pick up drastically through the scope, but he had never seen that.
Right.
Let me rephrase that. Or he said that had never happened before. That's what he said. He goes, this had never happened before, so I didn't know what to do. So I just held the same place, and of course I went off target. He goes, then I made a correction, and then I made an impact,
right,
and then it slowed down, and when it did, I didn't back it off, and I missed the other way, right?
You missed the let up.
Yeah. Right. So I told him, I said, you've been at this for 5 months now. I said, it's not that it had never happened before. You just had never seen it.
Right.
Which is two different things.
Too many other things you were looking at, right?
Yeah. So I said, when you first start, you don't even know what to look at, right? Literally, the wind and Mirage is the last thing you look at because you're worried about aiming and holding the crosshair steady and breaking a good shot. People are not even looking at the wind. They don't even realize it. And even if they look at the flags, it's just a flag moving, right?
They don't know what it means.
They don't know how to process it. So for new guys to have that wind zero data, especially there's some very analytical people that can take that data and go, okay, second, let's just say the second stage was the worst one. And they look at the data, and the wind data shows that it was the most erratic. All of a sudden they go, oh, it wasn't all me, it was a lot of this wind situation.
That's one of the things you learn, particularly for F-class. You can watch the trends over time and see what the wind patterns are, right? And you can even do that before a match with this, right? You can't use it during a match, but you can use it before. Does that, you can use it. Nobody does it. And you can figure out, is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 2 minutes, right? And some days it's so erratic that, you're just guessing, right?
Yeah.
So at Bayou, some of those days where they're switching back and forth and the speed's going, it's like, it's a crapshoot. So.
Yeah. Oh, I've been there. Speaking of Bayou Rifle Club, those in the F-class community, they know that is a very strong club,
right?
In a sense of developing shooters. What do you think is the reason?
Well, one of the reasons, it's been around a long time. I looked it up the other day, and our first F-class match was November 2004.
Wow.
1,000 yards F-class match. And there's a couple guys that are still shooting from that. Kenny Porter and Glenn Edgar, a few of the guys are still shooting.
Wow.
So I don't know when you started, but it was
2007, I believe.
You were, not too soon after that. But it's been going on a long time. We try to encourage new shooters. When I started, there was, Don Diffie.
Mm-hmm.
First time I got up there, he was very helpful, not cutting anybody down or anything. He's real helpful trying to get me on paper. And, it it was a good experience. So we try to actively support, new shooters. That's how it's going to live. If you don't, everybody's going to get old, and you're not going to have anybody to shoot against. So we've got to actively get new shooters into the sport. And you've seen multiple generations go through, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
way more than I have. So
yeah, but I'm sure that Bayou Rifle Club is not the only club that does that. There's plenty. Just about, I think every club tries to do the same.
Right.
However, I'm talking about the level of shooters, right?
I mean, we have we have a lot of good shooters.
Do you think? Let me tell you what I think, and you tell me what you think. Mm-hmm. What I think is I think once you develop some really good shooters, everybody else that comes there, they have two decisions to make. Either, I'm never going to be that good,
right?
Or this is great. I can learn from these guys. And in order to be successful at Bayou Rifle Club, you have to beat multiple national just to win a club match.
Right.
You have to beat 3, 4, 5 national champions at any given time.
Right. There's going to be you and Norm and Tim and me and PJ and there's Omar. It's really tough. Johnny. It's huge. There's a huge number of good shooters there.
Yeah.
And I think it feeds off itself. Once you get a core group, everybody wants to be better.
I think that's kind of what I'm thinking happens. You know what I mean? Because the group keeps changing.
It does.
But the level maintains. You know what I mean?
When you were shooting, it was you and Mark Walker.
Mark Davis, Ken Dickerman,
right, Ken.
David Mann,
right.
Herb Edwards. I'm missing
Gosnell,
a few.
David was there.
Gosnell was there. Jeff Cochran was there.
Right.
I mean, it's never been a lack of top level shooters at Bayou is what I'm getting at. And what happened is they quit shooting or they moved or for whatever reason, but the level maintains.
Right.
Just that level of
another
shooter.
Group came in and it kept going.
Well, yeah. So a new group comes in, right? These up and coming shooters, they get really good because they're shooting at Bayou against all these other guys.
Right.
And I think part of it has to do with the fact that, you're shooting against all these really good guys, but they're also very helpful and willing to share, right? So they take a lot of people under their wing and they help them.
Right.
And I think Cochran is Mark Walker's mentor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so he's been forever, right?
Mark Walker is a good shooter. And then you have, me at some point, Timmy Vaught used to call me all the time and ask me for questions, Mr. Check Valve. but I've helped as many as I could, and I know you do the same. But the point is, shooters will come to Bayou, and they're surrounded by all these top level shooters.
Right.
They can't help but to get good,
Right. And the ones, you can tell the ones that are dedicated, because we shoot during the week too. We got Tuesdays and Fridays long range as priority. So
wait, what?
Huh? Hey,
I didn't know that.
You can shoot it any day of the week.
Wow.
But Tuesdays and Thursdays it's long range priorities. So there's always shooters that go out on Tuesdays and Fridays and Friday mornings and Tuesday mornings, and there's always a group there that'll help new guys on the line. And
perfect example, Brandon.
Right.
Brandon Swar. He's been at it for maybe a year now.
Yeah, maybe.
But he was a heavy hitter like in 3 months.
But he shot, and that's the key. He shot all the time. He came out and he shot multiple times during the week, and he asked questions and he listened.
There.
And
right listened. There. That's right there. I think the listening part, and and the asking questions. Well, I think they all go hand in hand, right? Because if all you do is ask questions and never shoot, it ain't gonna matter.
Yeah, you got to shoot.
And if all you do is shoot and never take advice from higher level shooters, then you're not gonna.
It takes a longer time. I mean, when I started, the internet wasn't there, as much. It was harder, and when you started, it's even worse. There wasn't that much information out there. But these days, there's so much out there. The gunsmiths are, easier to find, good ones. So you can get a good gun and tuned way faster than when we started, right?
Yeah, for
way
sure.
faster.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, again, back to the gunsmiths, right? They know how to chamber a barrel.
Right.
I mean, it's not that they didn't before, but now they learned, they use better
The
technique.
accuracy potential is much better than it used to be. I mean, there was a few back then, but now there's more people. And
Yeah.
and I'd say the other big thing was the advent of the shot marker. When that came out,
Yeah, the electronic targets.
the electronic targets.
Well,
'Cause
first
it
was the
made it-
Silver Mountain, right?
Silver Mountain was first, right?
Yeah. And then, so e-targets,
It made it much easier for people to go out and shoot by themselves or even with a group. You know, you don't have to go down and pull targets, and yeah, you know how much fun that is.
yeah.
So for practice, I mean, in particular. So.
Well, you know, what do you think about e-targets for competition?
Yeah, it's a mixed bag, you know, it's the devil.
Yeah.
I mean, we use them at the club matches all the time. People love them. I mean, we get a lot more shooters than we would have if we still were pulling targets. There's no doubt about it. People love them. But, you know, we've done enough testing that, especially at longer ranges, the accuracy is not what you would like. But in the end, it kind of averages out. But there's always that one shot. You know, you're winning by 1 point, you know,
Yeah.
or a V or an X.
Yeah.
So
Tell me about it.
unfortunately, you know, we had to take our target frames down at Bayou, so we're had to go all full E-targets now. That was because of encroachment, you know, subdivisions all over the place. We had to get the berm lower, get the fire or the targets lower on the ground. So we had to take down our pull target frames.
So Bayou is e-target only, electronic target.
On the long range, we still have the target frames at the 300, but I mean, you really don't need the E-targets are great at 300, so you really don't need them there.
Yeah. Yeah, e-targets are great, man. I love me some e-targets because you can go back to data, right? You can go, you can shoot a match, you can save, you know, you can take a picture of your target. You know, if you want to go do some testing during a club match, you know, take a picture.
Right.
You shoot one load. You can shoot multiple loads. You have a 20-shot sample of what the load can do, and you know, you make a change, and you can, you know,
And
you
you
got
can
another
see it.
20
Yeah.
shots,
No,
and you're not tired. It runs much faster.
Yeah,
And
our matches are done by, you know, noon, right? They were never done that early before. So.
the other thing is a lot of people, and I can see both schools of thought where they go, well, yeah, but in the pits is where you kind of got to meet people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But you also get to meet people in the parking lot now because you're not shooting in between,
Right.
you know. And the new shooters, I think can find it easier to approach the better shooters.
I think that's right, because we try to pair up new shooters with experienced shooters, and that way they can get, you know, somebody during a match to help them out. So
Yeah,
and it was difficult with pullers.
you guys do a really good job at Bayou of pairing new shooters with experienced shooters, and you know they can't, you know, the new shooters are gonna lay down and light it on fire, and the new shooters can
Yeah.
be struggling, right?
Right.
And it's really easy for them to go, hey, either the new shooter will ask the question, or the new
Or you
shooter
tell
will
them
go,
what,
hey,
yeah, you need to
I've
try
been
this.
watching you.
Yeah.
You should try this or that
Yeah.
or the other, you know?
Right.
I was paired up with a shooter one day, and I'm watching him shooting. I'm scoring, and I'm watching him shoot. And he would shoot, and I mean, the gun wasn't even done recoiling. He's already looking at the tablet
Right.
to see his score.
That's a bad habit for new shooters.
Well, it's an 8-second delay.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how fast you look; it's still going to be 8 seconds before it shows up. So he's, of course, he's not doing very well. And I said, okay. After the first one, I said, hey, can I give you some pointers? He goes, absolutely. I said, you need to follow through, worry about your shot, put another round in there. Don't close the bolt, just put it in there.
Yeah.
Then you look at the target,
Right.
you know, at the tablet. And he said, okay, yeah, I have a bit bad habit. So he was struggling, and then I'd see him do it again. And I finally just took the tablet away from him.
Yeah.
I said, you know what, you don't even need this.
That's
Just
right.
keep shooting.
Get away.
And the minute I took it away, he shot nothing but V's. You know, because now he was worried about follow through, breaking a good shot, all that good stuff. But anyway, after the fact, he was very thankful. He was very thankful for my help, and he says, you know, now I know what to practice. He goes, I didn't know. I'm just here shooting, and I'm not hitting the target, and you know, or the X or the. I've been shooting international too much this year. Keep calling it V-ring. The X or the 10. But anyway, now you talk about Bayou Rifle Club. How long ago did you start shooting?
I started first match I think was 2017, and it was at a Savage 260.
Why wouldn't you?
Huh? Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
That's still a good cartridge. There's nothing wrong with a 260.
Now, before we go any further, I want to touch on that because a lot of people think, well, they see our rifles that we have and they go, well, I can never be competitive in F-class. Yeah, you don't have to be. Just show up, get started. You can shoot whatever, correct?
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to. The biggest issue is you're going to have to be on target. But that, you know, we run LRQs, long range qualifications, to help you out, get you on target. But yeah, once you're there at 1,000, typically it's better to start at 6, but then they can run at 1,000. Any gun you want that's capable of getting there, right? So 6.5 Creed is fine. It's a good gun. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, especially if you're going to show up and you can start at 600 or 300. Right? Like maybe don't do the first match at long range.
1,000 yards for your first is probably not the best. So.
Right. But we
run 300s in the summer, 600s in the winter, and then 1,000 year round.
So Bayou has an F-class match every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, that's right. All year round.
First Sunday of the month. First Sunday of the month is long range.
Long range.
And second Sunday of the month.
Third Sunday is mid range.
Third Sunday.
Second is across the course. We run across the course matches.
So the F-class matches are back to back?
No, first and third Sundays.
Oh, duh.
Yeah, first and third, and then across the course.
I knew they were 2 weekends apart, and somehow anyway.
First and third, that's math.
Yeah, that math is not working.
So yeah, summertime it's too hot to be on the 600-yard line, so we do the 3, which is covered. So probably 6 months of the year we run the 300-yard match, and that's very competitive. You have to shoot 600 with 50 X's to even be close to the lead. That's 50 X's.
You know who shot the first clean there ever? The first 600?
Who?
This guy.
At 300?
At 300.
Really?
I shot the first 600 ever. When I was shooting at Bayou, it was a 599 something. You know, the record was 599 something. And then I shot a 600 with 49 X's.
Yeah.
And I thought that'll never get broken because nobody had even cleaned it before. And then I cleaned it with 49.
So what were you shooting then?
6.5 by 47
47. That's a good gun.
But the point is, I thought this will stand forever. Nah. Now, if I show up and I shoot a 649, I'm not even going to podium. Yeah, crazy.
No, the record now is Johnny Ingram, 600 by 58.
58 X's? 58. Holy crap. Okay, those of you that are watching this that don't understand, we're going to break it down. They shoot at a 2.85 inch 10 ring. Right. It's not 1 MOA at 300. Yeah. 2.85 inch 10 ring. So the circle's 2.85 inches. But inside of that is a 1.
It's half of that.
Yeah, 1.35 or something. Yeah. Let's call it 1.4 inch circle, which is the X ring. So Johnny, out of 60 shots, 58 of those went into that X ring, which is 1.4 inches, 1.385, I think is the actual number. And only 2 went into the 2.85.
In the 10 ring, yeah.
10 ring. So 58 out of the 60 shots went into 1.4 inches. Holy crap. That's impressive.
And the TR record is 600 with 56.
Wow.
What's a 223?
See, that's even more impressive because they have to shoot off a bipod.
Right. That was a Savage 223 with a Schillen barrel, I think.
Wow.
And he shot 56.
Yeah. Okay. Those that say that you can't start with a cheap rifle. Yes, you can.
That's not true.
Yes, you can.
That's
Show
not
up,
true.
go shoot, get a factory rifle, 300 yards. I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to get better. You're going to keep, even if you never win, you're still going to get better.
Right. You got to shoot. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You got to practice.
Yeah. Now, so you start shooting at Bayou. You know,
2017. I didn't compete a lot. 2018, I think, is when I really started competing a lot. At that time, Johnny was there, Don Diffie, some of those guys. Timmy started shooting about the same time. So that's when I really started getting into it. I think our first nationals was at Raton in 2018.
Wow, that was the first time you shot?
That was the first time I shot nationals.
Wow.
That's when Norm had his 22.
Oh, that was. That's when Norm had the
22 X's, right?
That selfish son of a gun. All he needed was 18.
Yeah.
All he needed was 18, giving us a chance. But no.
He crushed it. He
had to go for 22. Now, back to explaining what you just said. Norm Harold, who's been on the podcast before, at 1,000 yards. Now, you know, Johnny did at 300. Now we're at 1,000 yards. One string, he gets 20 shots. Of those 20 shots, shooting at a 10-inch circle, he didn't bother with a 10-inch circle. No. There's also a 5-inch circle in the middle. He shot 22 shots in a row that landed in the X ring, which is a 5-inch circle, at 1,000 yards.
In the rain.
In the rain. Now, you might wonder, how do you shoot 22 X's with 20 shots? Well, there's a rule that if you run clean all the way with X's, you can keep shooting, just because that's how you set the record, right? At some point, otherwise everybody would have a 200 with 20 X's. Right. Even if he had done that, though, he would still be the only one.
Yeah, there's only been one.
But he had 22. So, you know, what's the record at 300? Like 36 X's or something?
30, yeah, it's 30 plus. 32 plus. Something, yeah. It's ridiculous.
It is incredible. But anyway, so Norm shoots his record. You're there.
Yeah, and we're going like, God, this guy's God. How do we shoot like that?
Now, did you know Norm at the time?
I didn't know Norm. No, it was me and Tim. We were rookies. We didn't know anybody. So
yeah.
I didn't do well. I mean, it got really windy one day, and my second sighter was a miss, and it was like, oh my God, where do we go? You know, it was that bad that day. So it was an experience, but it was. Raton is a really nice range.
It's very challenging.
Yep. When the wind blows, it can be tough.
Yeah.
Really tough.
So you shoot your first nationals there.
Yep.
You know, you say you didn't do well. Now, what did that do to you? Were you like, well, I'm not, you know, you see Norm shoot 222 X's. He wins the nationals. You and Timmy are new shooters. Yep. You're seeing, you know, I don't know how Tim did, but, you know, you say you didn't do well. What's the drive home like?
Drive home was all like, what do we have to do to get better? Like, what did we do wrong? What did we do well? What did these other guys do that we weren't doing, right? So that was pretty much the whole drive. How can we get better?
Yeah, I remember those drives, man.
It's a long drive.
It's a very long drive, and you're wondering the whole time, like, okay, these guys are not superhuman,
right?
These shooters, because there's some women that are also lighting it on fire.
Tracy. Well, and John Myers shot. Was that the year he cleaned at 600? He shot 600 or 1800. 1800 out of 1800.
Possibly, I
think it was that year or the next year. But yeah, it was like. How do you do that?
Yeah. But, you know, you're driving home going, okay, it was the very first time, it was actually in Raton as well, Spirit of America 2010, that was my first match out of state. And I'm there, and I remember I didn't do well. However, you know how you can't put, you know, when you're new, it's really hard to put an aggregate together, but you can have one.
You can have one good match, right?
And here and there, and that made me realize, because when I had that one or two good matches, I beat a lot of like top level shooters, right. And I go, okay, They're not superhuman. I can
Right.
beat them. I just got to figure out a way to stay consistent, because that's the difference,
That
right?
was the difference. Like that match when Norm shot his 22, I think I had a 200 by 11 or 12, and that's probably one of my first 200s at 1,000. I says, "Oh, I'm going to do great." I was like the bottom of the page.
It's impressive. It's amazing how the sport has advanced.
Yeah.
When I first started shooting, Mike Downey was my mentor. He was on the U.S. rifle team, and Mike Downey had the national record, 199 with 15.
Wow.
When I started, it wasn't, nobody was shooting clean.
That wasn't sling targets, though. That was
No,
after
no.
they went smaller.
It was a small target, but nobody was shooting cleans when I started.
Right.
So, I mean, shooting a clean was, obviously, nobody had done it. But even when they started shooting cleans on the small target, it was not something, I mean, you could count in one
didn't
hand
happen.
how many people had shot cleans. And nowadays, man, if you go and it's calm and you don't shoot clean, you're falling behind.
You got to shoot 215, 16. It's crazy.
Yeah. So you and Tim are driving home going, okay, we got to do something. And these guys are obviously doing something.
Right.
What did you guys come up with?
Well, I think that's kind of when we decided to switch over to a 300 WISM, or at least start trying it. So that's when we started trying it. Right after that, because John had really cleaned house, with his at the 600. It was really consistent rifle. And you guys were everybody was shooting 284s. We had 284s, so we thought we'd give that a try. We went. I went to different actions. I went with the Bernards. I think Timmy got some more. He went with the Bordens at the time. Scopes, we were okay. But yeah, it was more a commitment to start shooting more often. I think it just drove us to shoot more. So we started shooting a lot.
Yeah,
a lot. And that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do. You can't shoot once every 6 months and expect to do well.
Did you guys reach out to anybody for help?
I think it was just mainly the group, the Bayou group. I don't think we went outside the group.
Well, that's a good group.
Yeah. I mean, we had Johnny and Don, and you weren't shooting much there at the time.
Yeah, but Timmy was reaching out to me.
He'd call you. Yeah.
Because I had, at the time, I would go to Bayou once a year. I did that for 4 years straight or 5 years. I'd go once a year. I'd go shoot
the
TSRA, and that's it.
That's it.
And, I won 2015, 2016, 2017.
Right. That's right when I don't think, you shot a couple times at TSRA when I was there. Yeah.
And
starting.
Tim called me up, and, of course, he had Speedy. So
Speedy did his first gun.
His first gun,
Yep.
and he calls me up. I assume he got my number from Speedy.
Yeah.
And he introduced himself, and he says, "Hey, I'm a new shooter, blah, blah, blah. I need some help." I don't remember the conversation, but he probably said something along the lines of, "I'm never going to be as good as you, and we all know this. So, why don't you just help me?" And I think he promised that if he ever got really good, he was going to help me. I remember that clearly. He said, "I will never, ever withhold information from you." I remember that clearly.
Yeah, he said that.
That's how I remember it. Obviously, he doesn't.
Right.
No, but joking aside, he was just one of many that called me.
Right.
Honestly, right? And I would help him the best I could. Next thing I know, he wins nationals, the mid range.
Yeah, he was it 2 years later? Maybe the next year. He might have won the next year. Yeah, we started shooting a lot, and we started traveling a lot. And he in particular traveled all over the country and shot different ranges. And I think that's something you need to do as well, because if you just shoot one range all the time, you're not gonna broaden your horizon, right? You're just gonna know this one little range and how it shoots. So you need to shoot different places.
Yeah.
Different conditions. So we started traveling around a lot as well, but all over the U.S. pretty much.
Yeah, and then you were on multiple teams, right? Let's talk about team shooting now.
Right.
You were on multiple teams.
We were on Team Cirrus first with Brian Bowling, Brian Blake, those guys. and Will. Will was the sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
So we shot there a couple years. That team broke up, was it 3-4 years ago? Then we went over to, it was Team McMillan at the time, but then, Kelly passed away, and the new guy didn't want to sponsor McMillan anymore, so we became Rolling Coal at that point. So Timmy joined, Omar, myself, and then, of course, Norm's still there. Joe's still there, Joe Myers, from the old guys.
Right. Yeah. So what's team shooting been like where does it fit into your individual goals?
So team shooting has been, I think it's a different sport, obviously, than individual. Individual, it's just, about you and your gun and winning. But team, it's like, how can I make the team better, right? So there's a lot more collaboration. It's a lot more fun, actually, going as part of a team. You hang out together, you shoot together. And it's not really about you, it's about the best gun during the match and who's going to call the win the best, right?
Right.
It's not always, you're not always going to be on either shooting or calling wind. So you have to put the best guy up. So, it's a different sport. But, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, you guys have done well, really well.
Yeah, we have.
But, man, good job on that. So then, let's fast forward to England.
This year.
Let's fast forward all the way to here. Because, you guys, if those of you guys, whoever's watching that doesn't know, Rolling Coal's been doing very great, especially for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And then, individually, you guys all keep getting better. And, the team keeps getting better, and then the individuals keep getting better. I don't know which one. I think they just feed each other.
It feeds off each other, right? Yeah. What you learn in team, you can use in, especially load development-wise and gun-wise and everything else. That applies, right?
Like what?
I'm not going to tell you.
Have another sip. Okay.
You learned everything. You got everything out of me in England. You were watching us over there. Oh, what's he doing?
Hey, well, I just wanted to make sure you were doing safely.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it. So, I wasn't.
But
besides that, I didn't watch
the England
anything.
trip was awesome. That was one of the best trips we've done.
So, how do you decide to even go there?
Well, I guess you guys went the year before, right? And we had thought about going, but, I don't know. That was what COVID and everything else was still kind of winding down, and we ended up not going. And then and you guys, posted all the videos, and we talked to you, and you said you had a great time. So I said, next year we need to go. So when was it? December when they came out, or January? I forget when it opened up. But we started talking about it, and you guys were going, so we signed up. Did all the paperwork, had to get our guns licensed, 6 months in advance. Yeah. That's another story, right?
No,
so should we go into that one now?
Of course. That's part of it, right? Because this is 100% things that happen that most people don't realize, and it's I think it just adds to the story that the whole. Anyway, so tell me about that.
Yeah. So 6 months in advance, we have to write down which rifles we're going to bring, serial numbers, scopes, send them off to England, get the local sheriff over there to sign off on it, right? So we do that, we're good. Then 3 months later, we have to ship our ammo, right?
Right.
So I decided at that point, I'm going to shoot this gun and this load. And I didn't think about looking back at which ones I wrote down. So I load up 400 rounds, 420 rounds of Wisdom brass, send it over, and then 2 days before we leave,
you called me.
I called. I looked at my paper, and it said Bernard, and I said the gun I'd been shooting was a Defiance. It wasn't the same gun.
So you called me up.
So I called you up and said, "Did they check the serial numbers when you get into customs?" And he said, "Oh yeah, they do."
I said, "That's the only thing they check."
That's the only thing they check. They didn't care about anything else.
So now, then what?
So now I got 2 Bernard actions on this piece of paper with a barrel, a Wisdom barrel, and I got a Defiance with a Wisdom barrel on it. So I said, okay, I take the barrel off the Defiance. Luckily, it had the same thread, right? But the shoulder's about 1/10 farther on the Bernard. So I bumped the shoulder 1/10, put it on the gun. You know, it didn't touch the chamber, right? It just moved the shoulder back. They were both cone bolts, so that worked. Yeah, if I'd have had a different bolt, it would have been a problem. Mm-hmm. So Friday morning, before we flew,
we flew Friday night.
Friday morning, I took it to the range. I'd loaded up ammo, shot the same load, and it hit the paper. It worked. It shot pretty well. But I shot 2 different bullets just to make sure. Yeah, I think I loaded 62 something grains, and I shot 180s and I shot 195s, and okay, I can make something work, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we get.
Wait, 180s in a Wisdom?
Yeah. A 7.270.
Oh, a 7.270.
Yeah, 7.270.
I was thinking 300.
Yeah, it was a 270.
So you tried 2 different bullets.
Yeah, so I took the barrel off, had a different gun, brought 2 bullets over there. The ammo was there. I could have brought some, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I just used and I brought a bullet puller and some extra bullets. And yeah, it went downhill from there.
I'm not so sure.
Yeah, well, it worked out. But yeah, we got there and we were going to do the test, right, on the Sunday. Was it Sunday? At the 100-yard range. What day was it? Or maybe it was Saturday. Monday.
Yeah, Monday.
And
we got there on a Saturday.
Yeah, right.
We left here Friday night.
We landed there
Saturday, and by the time we got to the house and all that, it
was Sunday.
Yeah, so Sunday is when we went to the range for the first time.
Right. So I was gonna test the bullets right at the 100-yard range. Oh, we got there and I forgot my ammo. And you were shooting your 2 different lots. You know, the one that you brought and the one you shipped. And
I had 3.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah,
and that one looked like crap.
Yeah. Well, that's right.
Yeah.
We went to the range, to the 100-yard with Gary Costello.
Right.
And I didn't realize you didn't. That's right. You didn't.
I was going to shoot the ammo and figure out which ones to shoot, and I forgot my ammo.
Wow. So you forget your ammo. Yeah. You don't get to shoot.
So then what am I going to do? So I said, well, these 180s shot really good at Houston. So I started pulling bullets.
Yeah, because everything you had shipped had 195s.
195s in it.
So every night you're pulling. Everybody's just seating bullets. You're pulling.
I'm pulling bullets
and reseating.
And reseating with 180s.
Same load. You were keeping the same load.
It wasn't the best load, but it worked. You know, and so.
So all week for the because we shot the what do they call that?
Dolphin match.
Dolphin match.
I think there were dolphin matches the first 3 days, right?
We shot that, and
so I shot 180s the first 2 days, and then the 3rd day I think I said I'm going to try these 195s. You know, they didn't shoot that good in Houston, but
remember I asked you.
Yeah.
I asked, "What have you tried them?" You're like,
"No, but I was going to try them that Sunday." But
yeah, but I said, "Well, shoot them in this match.
Yeah, I'll shoot them. It's
not going to matter. I mean, you know, just find out." Yeah. And because I kept watching you pulling bullets every night, and I'm thinking to myself, I would take them and just see what they do
anyway, right? so yeah, I tried them that 3rd day, and they shot pretty well. So I said, I'll just go with these the rest of the match. And
yeah, because now we're going into the Imperial matches, or
right.
What do they call it?
Well, we did the team first, the Dolphin team.
That's right.
And I shot them in the team match. And they shot pretty well, but I had a couple flyers, so that was another story.
Right.
But so I decided to go with the 195s. But the other issue was and this is something people should learn from, was I decided, well, before the match, before we flew over, you only got 150 pounds that you can carry in each bag. So I was going to go with a different rest and a different rear bag, a smaller rear bag that didn't weigh as much, and a new front rest that folded up. It was a Rodzilla. And I shot him at one match before that.
Yeah. So you're gonna fly all over to England, and you decide to change everything.
Pretty much. New gun, new rest, new bag.
Yeah.
So, but what it ended up was the smaller rear bag. I had, donuts. I had to use 2 donuts to get it high enough because it was a shorter, smaller bag. And I went through everything and decided, well, that these things had changed, right? The barrel changed, but the barrel shot good, right? The front rest shot, it was fine. But the rear bag, something was wrong with that. So I ended up throwing the donuts out, putting it on the ground. And it looked like it had been rocking just a little bit because it didn't quite fit in the donuts the way the big bag did. So once I got rid of the donuts and got it on the ground, the flyers went away. So that's what I shot the rest of the week. And then obviously it shot a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Or I shot better. So it was a combination of the gun and the...
So we go into the first, because the what's the match that we shot? The European Nationals.
Yeah, the European Nationals, right. Day 1.
That's only 2 days.
2 days, right. Friday, Saturday.
And on day 1, for whatever reason, we all got our... Well, at the time, we thought we got our asses handed to us, right? Because we're I'm on 18th place. I think you're 17th. Todd and Norm, I don't know which order they were, but they were we were all stacked together, 15, 16, right. 17, and 18. David is the only one of us that shot really well, and he was 6th place.
Right.
But we all just...
Yeah, I was 5 down. You were 5?
5.
You were 5. Norm was 3.
We were all 5.
Yeah.
No,
Norm was 4 maybe. He was 1 ahead. Or
no, I think we were all down 5. All of us. Except for David. David was down 3. All of us were down 5, and I think the only separation was the X count or the V count.
Right. And we had all shot on the same relay.
Right. Which it was relay 1.
Relay 1.
And that didn't go well for us. Now the other thing is they shoot pair fire over there, and there's just all kinds of stuff. But either way, day 1, we're all sitting at the house going, "Oh, that did not go well."
Yeah, because one guy had cleaned it for the day.
Right.
With one guy from Italy and a couple others were 1 down. It's how are we going to make this up in 1 day?
Yeah. How do you fall 5 points behind in 1 day?
And the wind forecast was nothing.
Right.
It was 0.
That's the worst part. Yeah. Right. There's no wind. How do you make up 5 points in no wind?
Yeah, it's
tough.
You don't.
Yeah.
Normally.
But
yeah, well, the first 2 matches there was no wind, so I was clean. I think everybody was clean for. A lot of us were clean for 2 matches. So, but the last match, the wind came up, the 1,000-yard match, because it was 800, 900, and 1,000. They shot Palma every day.
And the other thing that you do there is that the 1,000 is 20 shots.
Yeah, right. The first 2 were 15, and it was 20 shots pair fire with some wind. So, yeah, I was. That was a good match because I was holding, moving. I think I moved 3 or 4 rings total during that whole match. It was pretty windy. Yeah. And then
up to 2 MOA. Yeah. With a 7x270 with 195. Yeah. That's not nothing.
It was nothing. That was some wind.
Yeah.
So I was clean. I says, well, I think I probably caught. I caught some people for sure.
Yeah.
And then
you did.
And then Norm said I dropped 3, and Todd said he dropped 3, and I says, oh, well, maybe I did more better than that. I never thought I was going to catch 5 shots.
Yeah. So you ended up shooting clean for the day.
Clean for the day.
So you're only down 5 for the whole thing, right? And Norm starts to do the math. He's like, because
yeah, we had no idea.
So tell me if this is true for you, because this is true for me. When I shoot really well, I assume everybody else did.
Right.
Because there's a lot of top shooters. And you're like, well, if I shot well, they
did too.
Similar talent or similar tools in their toolbox. they're probably going to do just as good. So
Right.
that's why catching up is really tough, right?
Yep.
But you should clean for the day. Norm dropped 3 points.
He dropped 3, I think. 3. Todd and him dropped 3, I think, on the last match.
Yeah, and
And you only dropped 1.
I dropped 1 for the day, and then David, I think, dropped 2 or 3.
2 or 3. Right.
2. Yeah, because he and I were tied for points.
Right.
But then somebody comes and tells you,
Somebody said he dropped 5.
the Italian.
Yeah, the Italian guy.
So now you know that you and the Italian are tied.
Yeah, and that
So
was
the guy
now
that
we're
was
trying to figure
leading-
out, do I get him on V's?
Yeah, because now you're down to the V count.
Yeah. So we didn't know. We didn't know how many V's he had.
Right.
And somebody else could have shot. Somebody else could have shot well. So
Yeah, because I mean, there
because
were 16
we were
people.
way down. We were way down.
There were 16 people between you
Yeah.
and the leader.
Any of those guys could have
Right.
done it. So yeah, that was a shock when they finally hit it. That I could probably win this thing.
Yeah. Well, Norm started getting really excited. I think he
Yeah,
started
he
doing the
does.
math. I think you won this. At least you
I
had the
didn't.
chance.
I said no way.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like how. But
I
you know
can't-
what?
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah. Yep. And we got the medal right here.
Yeah.
The trophy.
Show it off,
Yeah,
man.
We got the trophy. I don't know if we can see it here.
Yeah, just lift it
Yeah,
up.
we'll bring it up here.
Yeah.
So this was one of the trophies. We couldn't bring the big plate home.
You could have.
Well, that's true.
You chose not to. But
Yeah.
so you won the European Nationals, man.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was
I'm
awesome.
happy.
Yeah,
For an
and
old guy, it's not too bad, right?
oh, dude, it's never. You're always one match away from being a champion.
That's right. I mean, yeah, at the last Nationals, any guy in the top 10, could win on any given day. So, or top 20 for that matter. So,
Yeah,
yeah. It
But,
all came together, and we got a little luck. Got some luck.
yeah. I mean, that was impressive, dude. I mean, it was. Hindsight, it was impressive, right? And that's the other thing. I tell people, like, hey, if you drop 5 points in the first day or the second day, it doesn't matter. Just keep shooting,
Yeah.
right? Don't say I'm out of it. Just keep shooting. Keep
That's
doing your
what Norm
thing.
says. You're never, especially at 1,000 yards, you're not out of it.
Never.
The wind comes up, things can happen.
Yeah, never out of it. So that's kind of how I operate. I just shoot, and if I have a bad stage, I don't. It used, man. I haven't been like this always. It used to really just tear me
Right.
up, and it was the end of that. But now if I have a bad stage, I just had a bad stage, and I just
Yeah.
keep going. And you were 17th. You climbed all the way to first. I was 18th. I climbed all the way
Yeah.
to third. So you and I podiumed,
Right.
which was
From-
amazing.
From down in the dumps. We were way down there.
Yeah, it just awesome. I think that makes it a win's a win, but I think that makes it even better, man. That
Yeah.
you just climbed all the way from 17th to first, and just kept digging, man. That's awesome.
Yep. I will say that they run an awesome match. They really, Ricky and those guys, they really know how to run a match. So.
Yeah, you've run matches before, and you know what it
yeah.
takes to run a match, and those
Yeah.
guys run an incredible match.
Yeah.
They just everything about it is
It was
top
first
notch.
class. First class. Yep. We'll go back.
For sure. I'm going back.
Yep. And Worlds will be there in 3 years?
26.
Yep. 26.
So what's next, Dougie? Now that you won, now that you're a national champion, top of the world.
Now I can go retire. You know how hard it is to repeat anything in this sport.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. But
Yeah, it is, and it's tough. It's a tough sport, and I don't know, man. It's awesome. Like I told you, I made a boneheaded mistake on day one on that match, and I told you, you winning it really took the sting out of that. Because if we had all lost, you know, I don't know, it would have felt different.
Yeah, it was different.
Thank you for winning it.
Well, it was a great experience. I'll say that for sure. We'll go back.
So, you know, back to team shooting. You know, I always say this: the difference in team shooting is when you're an individual, you have one chance of winning.
Mm-hmm.
But once you're on a team, I have 7 chances of winning. You know,
right?
Or like when we're in England, you guys were, you know, we were a team, even though stateside we're not teammates.
Right.
Well, we are. We're both on Team USA, but you know, like the typical 4-man team. You guys are Rolling Coal. We're Team Lapua, Brooks, Borden. But typically we're shooting against each other, individually and on team. But and on you know, when we went to England, we were all on the same team.
Right.
And like I told you, when you won, dude, I was just over the moon. I was so happy. We were all happy for you.
Right.
You know, and I don't know. It's just, you know, being on a team just gives you more chances to win.
Well, you get to share it with, you know, everybody on the team. And I guess, well, we didn't talk about our team results, but I guess we won the Dolphin team, but the Brits beat us on the last day.
Yeah, came up short. We got the silver.
No, they shot really, really well.
Yeah,
I don't know that we'd. That was a tough match. They did well.
They did extremely well, but you know, it's okay. You gotta give them enough rope to hang themselves.
Come back next time, huh?
Yeah, you know, it's all in the strategy.
Yeah.
That's how you get them. Nah, joking aside, they shot extremely well. It was impressive. They only dropped 4 points for the whole deal. That was tough, you know. But we actually shot the exact same score, I believe, both matches, the Dolphin and the European. Our score was 791.
Yeah, both days.
Both days, but you know, it was good enough one time, but
not the second
time. And that's the thing, right? You have to always. It's never for sure thing.
Yeah.
So, what's next, man?
Well, nationals are coming up, right?
Nationals are coming up.
Everybody's getting ready. I've been doing Win Zeros and, you know, this new reloading project. So I haven't had time to do anything yet.
What do you mean reloading project?
Yeah, I've been working with Paul of Ingenuity Precision on a new loading system. So it'll be coming out at the end of this year. So it'll be a game changer, I think. You've seen it.
I've seen it. So it's a loading system. Give us more.
Right. It's not just a trickler, right? It throws the whole charge. It has a thrower and a trickler combination with the electronics to, you know, do all the calibrations and keep track of your loads. So it'll be a full system. It'll load a charge, and it's kind of it throws by gravity, so it's kind of independent of the size of the load, but it'll typically do 6 to 7 seconds total per charge, whether it's 30 grains or 60 grains or 90 grains. It's going to be, you know, in that range. And it's much more consistent. You don't get nearly as many overthrows.
And the reason for that is that Ingenuity thrower, right?
The
Ingenuity trickler works.
So his initial design used the auto trickler software to control it. So it was, you know, it would ramp down and it gets slow and it, you know, drops a couple kernels and so when we did this project, I looked at it and said, well, we can figure out, since it's a notched plate and you drop 1 grain at a time, you can figure out how many.
One kernel.
One kernel at a time. You can pretty much figure out how many notches it's going to take to get to a given load. So we'll drop the big load, get close, figure out how many spins it's got to go, and it'll run right to it. And we stop it a little short and then do the last little drop, and it's like right on within two throws or 2 turns.
Oh, so okay. So what you're saying is, because the way they typically work is they throw the coarse charge,
right,
and then they kind of trickle up slowly.
Yeah, they ramp down. They ramp down to
because what they're doing is they're watching the scale, right?
And they're trying to get this tiny little bit at the end with 1 kernel.
But because you guys know the kernel's already captured,
right?
And you say, okay, let's say a grain or half a grain under. And
that's going to be so many notches, so many kernels, right? We can count exactly how many to drop.
Yeah, let's just say, it's going to feed 25 kernels, right? And if there's, let's just say 10 per rotation. I know there's probably more.
There's
but let's
36.
just say,
there's 36 on a wheel.
Okay, so there's
notches.
36 and you need 25. You can rotate that. You can rotate it really fast.
It's done.
And then just stop too short and then click, and done.
It's done.
Very nice.
So there's no ramp down, it's very quick. So.
Wow.
So that'll be out end of the year.
Now, what press does that work with? Or not press, but what scale does it work with? Is it the same FX 120?
It'll work with FX 120, the Sartorius, and we're going to support the Creedmoor also. The Creedmoor, I forget the number of the thing, but Creedmoor Sports sells
925 or something.
Something like that. I think.
Yeah. That's a pretty. That's a pretty budget friendly scale, isn't it?
$300 something. The accuracy is really good. The big downside is slower, so it's going to take probably 15 seconds instead of 8 or 9.
Okay, explain that one to me, because you're throwing the powder. Mm-hmm. How does the scale make it slower?
Well, it's the stabilization time on the readings, right? So if you look at a FX, between the time you drop a charge and that little light blinks, the stable light, that's going to be a second or so. And the Sartorius is the same range,
Okay.
Whereas the Creedmoor is going to be more like 3 or 4 seconds.
I see. So the system just has to wait longer.
Right. It has to wait for the scale to stabilize, to figure out how many more grains it needs to throw.
Okay.
So, but it works, and it's actually accuracy is up there with an FX.
Really?
Yeah. It's close.
It's just slower.
It's just slower.
But it's for the price.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So a lot of people don't need, the speed or want the cost of an FX. So.
Well, what about the Sartorius? Where does that fall into the whole equation?
Well, obviously it's more accurate a little bit, but of course we're down in the grain anyway. But the Sartorius is more stable. It doesn't drift.
Ah.
Yeah, you know how the FX, start drifting up, and then you re-zero, and it starts drifting. The Sartorius is pretty rock solid.
Ah, okay.
Of course, you pay a lot more,
Yeah, so. But some shooters don't mind paying for that extra.
Right.
Stability.
So if you want to spend big bucks, you can do the Sartorius. If you want to go budget, you can use the Creedmoor, right?
But is it going to be the same system, like the exact same thrower?
Yeah, just the same. Everything's the same, except for the plug that goes on the back of the scale.
Okay.
That's the only difference. The software figures out, what the different the different scales are sending it. So.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And that's coming out towards the
end of the year.
End of this year.
I think Paul's going to have a pre-order on his website soon. So
this is Ingenuity
Precision.
Right? Because he has the trickler, right?
Right. He sells the trickler now.
Does it use the exact same trickler that he has?
Same trickler. So if you have one, you'll be able to use it. Upgrade.
Very nice. Yep. And you were doing all the software and all the because your background is
software engineering. Yeah.
So your background
I've done software my whole life. So.
Okay.
So that's why.
That's.
I learned a little bit of the electronics, but it's mainly the software that runs both, the Win0 and the loader that I've done. So. What else, Dougie? Where's your hat?
Oh man, I didn't bring my hat.
You didn't bring your hat?
Actually.
So this is my hat.
So
my lucky hat.
Yeah, you have to wear it all the time now.
I'm going to. Tell them the story. You bought it.
Yeah, so. When Norm actually.
Norm did. Yeah.
So Norm, we're in England. We're doing the tours and all that, and Norm. If anybody knows Norm, you guys can relate. We're waiting in line for tickets or something, and
to
Norm,
the Tower of London.
Yes, and Norm comes running over there and he goes, "Hey." Well, he wanders off by himself first. Then he comes back and goes, "Hey, we should go in there and all buy crazy hats." And
because we're doing the tourist thing.
Yeah, and of course I said, "Okay, well, let's go. I'm game, right?"
Yeah.
And I run over there with him, and we're there, and of course we had to go. And they, Tracy comes in, "Hey, we gotta go." And I'm like, here, you take that. And all of a sudden, we just start grabbing hats. And we just walk out the door with, 4 or 5 hats.
Yeah,
that
it was
we
like
could,
5, I think.
And when we saw that hat, we're like, that's
I get the Sherlock Holmes
that's
hat.
him all the way. So we get, and Norm got you that hat. I got a different
You got a pork
hat.
pie hat, yeah.
Yeah, and Norm had a kind of a Gilligan type of thing.
Yeah.
But it was all fun, man. We just having
it was a
fun.
good
It was
time.
great. It was a great trip. The weather was great. There was no rain.
Well, that was saying I think we got really lucky on the weather.
Oh, I know, because I'd been there. I was there the year before, and we got soaked every day. And speaking of getting soaked, did you go with us? Yeah, you did. We did get soaked.
A Stonehenge.
Stonehenge.
Yeah,
we went
we
over
did.
there. And we got
The last
totally soaked. So we did get some rain.
Yeah, we did at the end. But not during the shooting, which was fine with me.
Oh, man. So here's the thing that will happen the previous year. If you go shoot England, you plan on getting wet. That's it. You're going to get wet.
I brought all the stuff, the rain gear and everything.
Bring your rain gear with you. But that's not even the tough part. The tough part is, your stuff gets all wet, right? How do you dry it?
Yeah.
They don't have AC over there.
No.
They don't have, and if it's raining outside, so
Right.
it was tough. Like all your stuff is wet and you can't dry it. We'd go inside the house. They don't have fans. They don't have nothing because they're just not used to what we're used to. But it was tough. This year I was really glad that there was no rain. Trust me, I didn't want any.
Yeah, it would have been a whole different situation if it had rained. But I think normally it rains though, right? Every year. So
You plan on it.
Yeah,
If you're
plan
gonna go
on
over
it.
there, you plan on rain. Bring rain gear for you, for your rifles. Everything needs to be. You just need to assume that you're gonna get wet.
Yeah.
Because we did, and even though, like, the first year, even though we prepared, we brought rain gear and everything. We'd show up, we'd look up and go, okay, it's not gonna rain today.
right.
We get soaked because halfway through the shooting, it just started raining, and so. If you go to the range and everybody there starts putting the rain gear on the rifles and they're wearing rain gear,
You better get it out.
put yours on.
Yeah.
So we learned that on second day because we got soaked on day one. So they're putting on the rain gear, put it on. That's the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
But anyway, well,
right.
Doug, that's been awesome, dude. Thank you for
All
being
right.
here.
Appreciate it, Eric. It's been awesome.
Win Zero, go get yours again. It's right there, thewinsero.com. Go check it out. I have some videos on my YouTube channel on that. And also, if, YouTube, they're out there. You were at the PRS Expo.
Right.
You actually, on my YouTube channel, they'll see this, but you actually have one of these on a drone.
Right.
That's the
Last
other-
year you took a video of that.
That's the other thing that you can actually do, right? You actually put these things on a drone and then you fly it. So you can fly it, we talked about how, max ord of the bullet. If you're shooting EOLR or anything, you can actually fly the drone
Right.
up there and fly it at wherever the elevation.
It's amazing how much difference it is between, 10 feet and 20 or 30 feet. It's almost double most of the time.
Yeah. So you can actually take this Win Zero, put it on top of the drone, which you have done, fly it up there, get a reading on the wind,
Run
fly
it
down
down
range,
range.
get a reading, and you can actually fly the whole path and then just keep track of
Right.
what it's doing.
Run the thing down range.
It's
Yep.
quite impressive. So anyway, Doug, anything else?
No, that's it. Thanks, Eric.
Dude,
Great.
awesome. Thank you for being here, and let's do it again sometime.
All right.
Hey, let's go.
See you at Nationals.
Yeah, we got Nationals coming up.
All right.
All right, man. Later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.